Hello everyone and welcome to It Goes Off. We've just had round 15 and what a round it was. We saw perhaps one of the best games we've seen in quite some time with a double overtime thriller up north when the Townsville Crocodiles got over the line against the Sydney Kings in a game for the ages. And also we saw some fireworks with the Melbourne Tigers taking on the Gold Coast Blaze in one of the, well, let's just say one of the lesser performances we've seen by the Melbourne Tigers in recent times, but it's what happened post-game that's caused a lot of controversy. And today on the show we've got a very special guest. He's an Olympian. He's also should be representing Australia at the London Olympic Games. We all hope so, and that is the Gold Coast Blaze superstar, captain of the team, Mark Worthington. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Because Grantley won't talk about Gold Coast until 3 wins, I've decided to boot him out of his seat and actually talk a bit of Gold Coast today.
Well, that's right. Grantley Bernard has just felt that you guys have been underperforming a little bit, not only this year, but last year as well. You've got a few hard luck stories to tell, and even now, when you look at what's going on with your team, with Chris Goulding out and also with James Harvey, again, it looks like tearing his calf. You've got a bit of adversity to deal with.
Yeah, but at some point we've got to stop making excuses, and injuries happen and no one's feeling that fresh at this time of the year. So we'll keep working through it, and last night was a good start. It
was a great start, particularly on the back of what you had to deal with in Perth. You gave up 92 points to the Wildcats. You lost by 12 and on the skids just a little. And real character-building stuff to come into a hostile environment, full house at the cage, and you got a very impressive win.
Yeah, so the Perth game, I thought we played really well. We got beaten by a better team on the night. The 92 points, they probably would have been about 80 if we didn't foul as much as what we did at the end of the game. So it was a better defensive effort than what we showed against the Sydney the previous round. And then to come to Melbourne on a Sunday and get that victory was not only huge for our club, but probably huge for morale of some of the younger guys in our team as well.
Well, it was, and I think your effort was demonstrated in what you're able to do on the boards. I think you won the rebounding contest 51-26, so those effort plays really sticking out in that statistical category. But not sure if you're familiar with what took place after the game with the Melbourne Tigers. It was an ugly performance by Melbourne. They shot in the mid-30s, only had 60 points, and the owner of the team, Seamus McPeak, you played for the Melbourne Tigers, and Seamus is a very emotional character, and he's come in and had a few words to say, and there was apparently an exchange between himself and Ayinde Ubaka, which has led to Ayinde Ubaka being either fired, cut, or him walking out of the club. Don't know all the details, but at the end of the day, at this point in time, they've parted ways.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Ayinde is a fantastic player in this league, and you know, probably the post-Paddy Mills era is still going on in the Tigers of learning to play without Paddy, and Ayinde having the ball back in his hand and running the team again. He wasn't the only bad player last night. Let's be honest.
He had many friends.
For what went on, you know, we'll probably find out more in the next couple of days, but it's definitely interesting times in Tigerland.
It is, and he's hoping that they can resolve those issues. Although the Tigers have released an official statement saying that they have parted ways, I think it's one of those things at the heat of the moment, just when the game's finished, you've got a passionate guy like Seamus who's put a lot of money into the sport and into the Melbourne Tigers. Hopefully it's just one of those heated moments that perhaps they can overcome, do you think?
You could hope so. You hope so.
You're not that confident?
Not that confident, but you can only hope. And like you said, Seamus is a very passionate person. He's done fantastic things for the Melbourne Tigers and basketball in Australia. And you know, you always feel a little bit different after a game compared to when you wake up the next morning and have time to reflect. And maybe, or hopefully, some of that has happened this morning. Time will tell.
Well, on a lot lighter note, up north they celebrated 20 years, this is the Townsville Crocs, celebrated 20 years in the NBL competition. They played their 600th game, and before the game they wheeled out some of the geriatrics.
I'm just glad they had the wheelchair ramp access available for some of the guys.
Well, I don't know if you saw some of the action, but they had some... Robert Rose was playing, a former NBL MVP. Derek Rucker was there. He was coaching the Townsville 20th anniversary team. Pat Reedy was there. Leonard Copeland, Mark Bradke, Chris Anstey. They were all there. And I tell you what, Chris Anstey is still at mid-30s, still is in great condition, and I'm looking at the Melbourne Tigers last night. Is it beyond the realms of possibility that maybe they give the big fella Chris Anstey a bit of a tap and see if he can come back?
I think Paul Woolpert actually tapped him on the shoulder about half-time of your game and asked him what his status is. But I think I know that he can still play in this league and be valuable. I think Chris is quite happy in his new life after basketball, but I think everyone knows that he'd still do damage in this league.
No, well, it was a great game, and congratulations to everyone in Townsville because...
I heard it was a fantastic event, and Townsville put on just a great show.
They did, and full credit to them. We should see more of it, just reflecting back on some of our heritage, and to see the guys there, the fans loved it. Virtually a full house there in Townsville. And it was, I guess, capped off by one of the great games we've seen in the last few years. I'm not sure if you...
Barn burner.
It was a double overtime thriller, and it's one that the Sydney Kings will lose a lot of sleep over for two reasons. One is that they lost the game, and the second one is in both regulation in that first overtime, they were in a very commanding, winnable position.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. They're a very young team, and at the end of the day, they went up without Aaron Bruce, that we'll talk about later. And they probably put on a show that no one expected, probably not even the Crocs themselves, and put themselves in a position to win. They can take a lot out of this game, but they might lose a little bit of sleep on the L, but I think they can take a lot out of that game going forward.
Well, hopefully they can, because the style of basketball and the way they played, they had big performances. And it wasn't just that it was a double overtime game. Some real huge plays by some individuals in that one. So congratulations to
Michael Cedar.
Michael Cedar with some big baskets.
Jacob Holmes.
Jacob Holmes in the regulation.
Luke Martin.
The list goes on, doesn't it?
It was a great game.
And if you haven't seen it, get out there, try and see it, because it was a fantastic contest, and great to be up there to be able to call it 4-1. You mentioned about Aaron Bruce, and it's a real sad story because he's in career form, averaging around 15 points a game and 5 assists for the Sydney Kings. At training in a fairly basic play, goes up, lands, cracks a bone in his tibia, I think it was, and he's out for the season. Early signs are that they can cater for it given the way they played against the Crocs, but that's a huge blow.
Massive. He is having a fantastic season, and probably like no one expected him to come from Adelaide and have the impact that he has, and credit to him. And it's just one of those weird things. I was there when Russell Hinder did his, and it's not friendly, and it doesn't sound that good, and hopefully that he gets on the mend very quickly and back in Sydney colours, because like you said, he's had a great season today.
Oh, my word, we pass on our regards to Aaron Bruce, and hopefully he comes back bigger and better next season. Now, Wertho, we're going to put you on the spot here. If you've seen our podcast, I know you're a very avid viewer of what goes on and the work that Grantley Bernard provides for us here. We have a little section that we call Who's Hot? Who's Not? And I generally like to touch on the more hotter performances, but I don't want you out there having to bag anyone. So have you noticed any hot performances out there that's taken your eye?
Well, I was a part of the game, and Jesse Wagstaff has been on fire lately.
My word.
He's been on fire, and he showed it again against Perth. I don't think he missed too many shots, probably 3 or 4, but he's just come into form at the right time at the moment. I think his last month has been fantastic for the Cats.
You talk about his numbers. He had 25 points on 8 of 13 from the field, and he's one of those very versatile, bigger guys that can go inside, outside, and just having a great time of it as well out there. But well done to Jesse Wagstaff, and I guess you throw also in the hot category the Perth Wildcats. Ooh. How good are they going at the moment? You've felt it firsthand.
They're very, very tough in the jungle, and their fans let you know it.
That's for sure. What about, I guess we'd also throw the Townsville Crocs v the Sydney Kings into the hot basket. Absolutely. There had to be a loser, which we didn't like to see in that game, but white hot, do you think?
Well, the shooting was white hot, that's for sure, at the end of the game. And like you said, Michael Cedar, Luke Martin, that was one of the better games that you'll see in the NBL. And
anyone else in the hot category there, were they?
You could probably throw Seamus McPeak in the hot category. He's a bit hot underneath the collar, and I can probably still see steam coming from his ears right about now after Ayunde going on SEN this morning. Yes,
Ayunde, he was very measured in his response, and I guess because he has been so measured, we're hopeful that they can sort out their their differences. But as we record this show, we'd say that that's probably a little unlikely.
Yeah.
Well, it's now time to look at some of perhaps the lesser performances, and we'll touch on the Melbourne Tigers. They shot poorly, mid 30% for the field, only had 60 points in the game, and lost their third consecutive game at home against the undermanned Gold Coast Blaze. So we'll put them in the not hot category. Also, Aaron Bruce, for all the wrong reasons, just unfortunately injury that he sustained. So as we mentioned before, good luck to him. And lastly, in the not hot category
would be your shooting performance in the anniversary game.
Well, I didn't want to include this, but you made me put this in. In fact, first thing you said to me in the not hot, you're in the basket.
Yeah.
And happy to be in the basket, but 0 for 4. Now, surely, though, not enough attempts to get into this category.
Didn't you only have 2 attempts at halftime and give your teammates a spray that you've never had 2 attempts in your entire basketball career?
I tried to alert them to the fact, and I thought we'd see some changes. And the coach of our team was Steve Carfino. He never got the message to try and throw it my way, and the teammates didn't either. But,
maybe I'll throw a spanner in the works here. Yes. Is this your second OFA? Because at the flood relief game, you also had an OFA.
No. That is incorrect. At the flood relief game, I did get 2. I managed 2 points in the flood relief game, but I tell you, it's only the second time I've gone over, and ironically, the other time was in Townsville, and it's when I played the first 2 minutes and did my ankle and was out for the game. But if my memory serves me correct, even in those first 2 minutes, I think I got up more than 4 shots.
So no one's doubting that for a second.
So no, but it was again, congratulations to everyone up there at Townsville. It was a fantastic game. Hey, now it's very much my favourite part of the show, and it's called the Mark Zuckerberg Minute. And that's where we love to get your feedback, and we provide some very good incentive to get on either the NBL Facebook page and hit us a question so you can join in the conversation and join in the show, or you can hit me up on my Twitter, which is AndrewGaze10, or Mark Worthington, very active. I'm a follower of you, and you get amongst it a little bit as well.
At Wortho44.
At Wortho44. And you're going to be the judge and jury today, because anyone that Mark deems to have the best question of the day is going to pick up this. It's an official, and you can verify that. That is an official Spalding NBL game ball.
That is lovely, isn't it? It feels nice.
It's lovely when they're going in, and it's worth about $129. So jump on any of that social media and punch us out a question. So Wortho, who's first up?
We've got Jim Savalas, and he says, Andrew, do you think the passion in the NBL with coaches and players has dropped? Do you think the ejection of Coach Woolpert makes it worse?
No, well, Grantley and I had a bit of a debate about this last week. I actually think there's good passion and there's good emotion, and I think we've got the balance right with that respect for the officials. Now, Paul Woolpert, he crossed the line and he copped his fair whack, a $3,500 fine and a suspended game sentence. So he copped his whack, but how do you feel it out there, Wortho?
I just enjoyed Coach Woolpert in the green shirt turning into the Incredible Hulk for a second and morphing into this animal that was just going after Michael Aylen as hard as he can. It was quite enjoyable, actually.
Well, there was definitely a lot of emotion in there. Look, I think he crossed the line. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he crossed the line. But, I mean, it's people's jobs.
Yeah.
People forget that. We provide entertainment on the weekends for families, but it's our jobs as well. Yeah. And we're very, very passionate about it. So we're going to get hot underneath the collar every now and then. And
make no mistake, though, we love to see a bit of emotion out there
absolutely.
As fans and see the players right into it. Let's go to our next one. Our next one's from Miles Stedman. And he writes, will the NBL All-Star Weekend ever be revived? I personally hope so, but what's your view?
I'd love for it to come back. I only got to play in one before they scrapped the idea, and it was a fantastic weekend, and it's just, I guess, to catch up and get away and meet new players that you don't really get to spend time with. It was a great time, and I personally hope it comes back again.
I agree with you too, and I like what they do over in Europe as well. In their All-Star games, they play the locals against the internationals, and it makes for a more of a contest, because we always like to see games going out there and see the dunks and that, but if it's not a legitimate contest, it takes the edge off it. But those types of games, it gets a little bit more fire in the belly.
The only problem with the NBL is there'd be a lot of point guards and a lot of 4 or 5 men, and not too many 2s, 3s going around.
Good point. Good point. Might be some imbalance in there at the, with some of the internationals. And lastly, we're going to go to Inner Westy. This is coming off Steve-O. He handles Inner Westy, and he wants to know, what are the Kings going to do without Aaron Bruce? Luke Cooper deserves a shot at point guard. Would you keep Kevin Ratch at this stage? Tough one for you to answer, but I guess the part about Luke Cooper, he's shown some good signs.
He was excellent against us, and he's just one of those hard, nuggety players that you like to have on your team. You don't like playing against him, but maybe Aunde's phone might be ringing this morning.
That is a very good point, isn't it? Because if Ubaka is out there, Kevin Ratch, I like Kevin Ratch. I think he's a great player, good role player, and I put him in the Mike Kelly. If you go back in history, that type of role that he can come in and play, good defender, good athlete. So I think he's doing some very good things. I wouldn't make a change if I was in Rebellion right now, because we saw on the weekend they are very capable, and to bring a new guy in, it can hurt you a little bit as well.
Yeah, sometimes when you bring someone in, a few steps back to go forward, and especially if that guy's going to be a point guard. Teaching him all the plays and getting through the motion like they have been, might be a step backwards.
Beautiful work by you, Wortho. Now the spotlight is truly on you. Who are we going to give the NBL game ball to?
I got to go for the first one,
Jimmy.
For bringing up the question about the Incredible Hulk, Paul Woolpert.
Well, Jimmy Savalius,
whatever you think it is.
Hey, Jimmy, you know who you are. We will be in contact with you and coming your way an official NBL game ball courtesy of the good folk at Spalding. Now, we had put players to the test on a weekly basis. You've done some fantastic work hosting some of our 24-second shot challenge. In fact, I'm not sure if we've seen you actually shoot it. Have you actually put together a 24-second shot challenge, or are you just being...
No. I'm doing my best Ray Martin impersonations out there.
Well, you're doing a great job at it. When the Gold Coast boys had featured Darren Ning, he set a world record of 16 consecutive baskets in the
doctor can shoot.
The doctor can fill it up, and he was operating on the day, and all those other little quirky things we could say about the doctor. This week we go to the Melbourne Tigers, who have been a victim of some controversy, but let's see how one of their imports, the other half of the dynamic duo, Ron Dorsey, let's see here how many he can knock down in 24 seconds.
Welcome back to the NBL It Goes Off 24-second challenge. I'm Cam Trigard, back by popular demand. Demand in a sense that I demanded to be back and do this again. I'm here with sharpshooting Ron Dorsey. Now, Ron, you've shot about 52s and about 300 threes this season. How do you think you'll go with the short ball today?
I think I'm going to do pretty good, man. I don't get to the line much, but I'm going to fill it up today.
I feel you. My money's on you. Benny Lewis, Ron Dorsey. Ron's going to get the cookies today. Let's go. Ready? Go. Ronnie, it's impressive, man. By my count, definitely 12 out of 13. That's the best I've ever seen. A lot better than Paddy and Dan earlier in the year. You're our new Tigers frontrunner. I'm going to say probably frontrunner of the world as well. How do you feel after that?
Felt pretty good, man. Did they get the record? What's the record?
16.
16 is the record. I don't believe it. I want to see that. I want to see some footage. Yeah, our rebounding was terrible. But great effort, mate, and thanks a lot for shooting with us on that It Goes Off challenge.
And a solid performance that time by Ron Dorsey. And no, Cameron, we cannot count that last one. We're only going to give him 11, which is not good enough to overtake Darren Ing. But just the shot, just didn't quite get enough shots up because he didn't miss too many.
Didn't miss too many, but the doctor. You can't go wrong with the doctor.
No, you can't at all. Good to see the Gold Coast Blaze back in the winners column. And we say this week in, week out, but another very, very important round of basketball coming up. And Wortho, talk us through when the good folk out there want to go see some exciting basketball action, where do they have to head?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Thursday, the white-hot New Zealand Breakers playing the red-hot under-the-collar Melbourne Tigers.
I like it.
Friday, the Sydney Kings are hosting the Perth Wildcats, who are also in fantastic form on 1HD. The Taipans versus Wollongong. Hopefully it'll be another barn burner like they had in the Gong the other day. Close one.
Been good.
It is a close one. Saturday, my Gold Coast Blaze are hosting the Melbourne Tigers again, and that is on 1HD. Also on Saturday, the Townsville Crocodiles are hosting the Wollongong Hawks. A big game for the Hawks, and that you can listen to that one on NBL Radio.
Good.
And then Sunday, to finish around, the Adelaide 36ers are hosting the Cairns Taipans, and that is on 1HD, and the Taipans will be looking for a win in Adelaide, I'd assume.
Well, it's big times ahead. A lot of teams under the pump. It's just an explosive week we've had, and going to see how it all pans out. Now, just quickly, you guys have got a pretty rough schedule ahead. I think you've still got 3 weekends where you've got doubles, a few players down. What can you let Grantley know about how you go? Are we going to see playoff action in the Gold Coast Blaze? No, don't give me the wishy-washy, we're going to try our best. Are you in or you're out?
Oh, we're in.
Right.
We're in. Don't worry about it. And Grantley, we'll get those 3 wins, and I will call you up personally, and we can talk about the Gold Coast Blaze.
Well, there you have it. Mark Worthington, make your statement saying the Gold Coast Blaze are going to be featuring playoffs action. And you guys play an exciting brand of basketball, so we'd like to see it. Fantastic work by Mark Worthington. I think you'd all agree. Terrific stuff. And Grantley Bernard should be feeling very nervous. If you were located in Melbourne, I reckon we might just give Grantley a little bit of the shove over. But well done to you. It's now time to say thanks to those that have support us. And it all starts with the naming rights sponsor of the NBL. They provide fantastic internet service and a few other odds and ends. And they're called iNet. Connect better.
1
Centrebet.
and 1
Spalding.
Rent Smart.
And Virgin Australia. They do a wonderful job, don't they?
I'll be sitting on one of their planes in about 2 hours.
And they will get you there in comfort and in style. So good work by Virgin Australia. That's all we have time for this weekend. Get out there and go see a game of basketball. A lot of the games, more than half the games last weekend sold out. So go get some tickets and see some great action. Good luck to Mark Worthington the remainder of the season.
Cheers,
and thanks
mate.
for joining us. Tune in again next week where we take a look at all the winners and losers and all the goings on in round 16 of the iNet NBL Championships. Until then, stay tuned and check back into the #1 NBL podcast in the universe. And it's called It Goes...
Not even scripted.
Nice!